Contact. 3, 2,
What's
1.
up, everybody? Welcome to another Wednesday rendition of our live stream. Man, do we got a lot. There is a lot going on in the world today. There's a lot going on in the world of money, in the world of finance, in the world of interest rates. All of these things can affect housing, and that's what we're all about on our channel, discussing real estate, how we can monetize. There's always, the only thing that's constant is change. There's constantly change, right? Change is always happening. So we need to be on the forefront of change and protect our businesses and maximize our businesses and maximize everything that is changing and going on, because a lot of the stuff that is changing in the world always is out of our control. But what we can control is the actions that we take and how we can kind of just stay ahead of the game. That's what we're about. So that's what we're going to be getting into. Lots to talk about. CPI data, which is the inflation data, came out today. Going to be talking about the Fed. Going to be talking about is the Fed going to lower interest rates? Lots to talk about with interest rates. Stocks are booming. Bitcoin's booming. Post-Trump victory, what this could mean for the real estate market. We got data here on tariffs. We got data here on how immigration could affect housing. We got data when it comes to deregulation, when it comes to building more houses. This is what they're talking about doing. Increasing supply. My goodness. I mean, I don't think we've ever had more to discuss. So let's get right into it. RJ, how are we feeling today, man?
I'm feeling good. We got the Darth Vader vibes going on. We're all dark and we're ready to attack. I'm feeling good today. We are live on all the platforms. So if you are seeing us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, I think now we have a Rumble account, whatever. Just
X.
comment, let us know. We got to definitely have an X account. Let us know where you're seeing this. Type in if you are in real estate, type 1, city and state. Let's get active today. Let's get some engagement today. I want to have you guys in the conversation as well. If you have any questions, or put it in the comments. I'm going to be kind of going back and forth to see what comments are coming from Instagram. But let's get right into it, because look, the election happened, right? If your representative won, great. If it didn't, great. We're gonna be exposing to you today some of the things that they've already passed or in the moves to making it pass, and we want to stay in front of the real estate market, money markets, and so that you can make the right moves towards the end of the year and into 2025. So here's kind of what we're seeing. Dave, so CPI data, what is CPI? For the audience that doesn't know what CPI, what is CPI?
Consumer Price Index. That is the gauge of inflation, or how much did prices rise year over year, right? Are you able to see my screen?
Let me click on this tab. Now I am.
So we had CPI data come out today. I'm on X, and CPI came in line with their expectations. So they expected CPI, or price rising, to be 2.6, and it came in at 2.6. So no major shocker, no major surprises. And a lot of people on X, I mean, I'm just scrolling around here. People are saying, we should cut in December. But with that being said, so I mean, nobody knows if they're going to cut or not. But the Fed has been cutting rates, RJ, for a while. I mean, we've seen rate cuts for several months now, but mortgage rates have not been coming down. So just even if the Fed does cut, just because you get a rate cut from the Fed, it doesn't mean mortgage rates are going to come down, right? So this is what we all kind of need to pay attention to. And the reason mortgage rates have not been coming down despite the Fed cutting rates is because there's actually been really strong economic data up until October. So we've had all this strong economic data, but this is what happens, RJ. They come out with this economic data, but like jobs reports, that's like a main one, right? The jobs reports have looked good. Things are looking good. So there's no incentive to lower mortgage rates for like investors and people who lend money and whatnot. There's no incentive to lower mortgage rates when it's a strong economy. And all the jobs reports and things have been looking like, hey, it's a strong economy until September, or actually October last month. So the jobs numbers that came out in October looked bad. So since we're getting bad economic data, we kind of got to see what happens for this next month here, November's numbers. But if the trend continues and things continue to look worse on paper as far as like jobs data and stuff like that, we can expect mortgage cuts. That's just the way it is. So ultimately, and I wanted to bring this point up as well, we're looking at some bigger deals, and everybody should know this is a breakthrough, and I want you all to like learn this. It is cheaper to borrow $8 million, $10 million, or $12 million than it is to borrow $200,000. Isn't that wild to think about, RJ? Like, if somebody was to go get a conventional loan right now to buy one of your houses, you got to fix and flip, you fixed it up, you're putting it on the market, and you're selling it to somebody who's going to live in this house. They go and they're going to put a conventional loan 20% down. So they're going to get an 80% loan to value loan, and the rate's going to be in the sixes. That's a pretty normal transaction, right? Well, if you go after commercial properties, and let's pretend you are, you bought something and you're going to fix it up, and you stabilize this apartment building, and then you want to refinance it to put like a 30-year mortgage on this apartment building for yourself. You could go and get a HUD mortgage right now, 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 5.5% for a commercial loan. And it's not 80% LTV, it's 85% LTV. It's a better deal. You get better deals on bigger deals. This is the breakthrough. This is like, God bless America, right? I mean, we live in this land of abundance. It's absolutely ridiculous when you start to wrap your mind around this stuff. So I'm here to let you know. In conclusion, when it comes to just my little thoughts on interest rates, I do believe we'll probably see mortgage rates come down regardless of what the Fed does, because I think the economic data that's going to continue to come out over the next several months is going to get worse and worse. So therefore, mortgage rates will come down. But it doesn't matter, because we can still create cash flow whether rates are in the sixes or rates are in the five, and you could go get these HUD loans. There's great money out there. We could cash flow the heck out of 5.5%, 6.5%. It's no big deal. So from an investor standpoint, from you and me, and there's still a housing shortage. There's no like, it's not a slow market in the affordable housing price range where we're at. So that's
I think there's not going to be, I mean, anytime soon, they're not going to solve this shortage of affordable housing. And so what that means for real estate investors that are in residential, and then even in, apartments, small apartments, whatever, there's opportunity. There's still opportunity, and it's always been that way. And it's now up to us. Look at where the deals are at. They're not really hanging out on the open market. Yes, you can find deals on the open market, meaning, MLS and what's the CREC season, and what's the other one?
CoStar.
Yeah, CoStar and LoopNet. So you can. They're there, right? But some of those deals, their strike price, they're asking way too much, so that there's no value add play. So you kind of have to pick those up creatively. So I'm not saying that there's not deals there, but the best ones are off market, and you got to have the marketing strategies, the follow up, the sales process, all of that in your repertoire to make sure you're successful in finding the deals off market. Because I hear this from some of our students, and some of the ones that are not doing it consistently, is that they ask, how, what's your best marketing channel? These marketing channels work. All of them work. What doesn't work, or what's not working, is you who doesn't have a sales process, or you don't have a follow-up process. And so all of those leads, they turn into wasted money. That's really what happens. So that's why we cover that heavily in our program, because that's one of the keys to success when you're going after off-market deals like we do. And so jobs report came out. They're saying that they're gonna. Is it true that they're gonna drop it by 50 BPS? What's BPS again?
Basis points. So 1% is 100 basis points. BPS. 1% equals 100 bips is what they call it, basis points. So 50 bips would be half of 1%.
Gotcha. Is that gonna happen in your opinion? What you've seen?
It's interesting, man. I mean, so based on the inflation data that came out today, it looks like inflation, kind of like went up, and the Fed can't cut rates when inflation's going up. So it's contradictory. Like if they're trying to tame inflation, the worst thing you can do is cut rates. However, I believe we're going to continue to see bad jobs reports and bad economic data. So that would trigger the mortgage rate. That would trigger a rate cut. I pulled up an article that I want to share here, RJ. This just came out today from Newsweek, and we can just kind of review what some of the because this is a good segue into kind of like the Trump administration and the Trump policy and how this is going to affect interest rates too. So I think it's important to know that the president does not determine the interest rates. It's the central banks, right? This is its own thing. It's its own entity. And, Trump could kick and scream and say, I want rates to come down, this and that. But ultimately, he doesn't have the power to do that. Like the government doesn't have the power to do that.
That's so wild.
It's the way it is, man.
They can't even get Jerome Powell out of there, right? Is that true?
No, he can't. Interestingly, Jerome Powell is a Trump guy. Trump actually, I believe, appointed Jerome Powell, or it was under Jerome Powell that in Trump's first term, where he took the chair of the Federal Reserve. So, but we have here, let me just share my screen real quick. So inflation rose 2.6%. This just came out today, right? But check this out. Tax cuts and tariffs, among other policy proposals, have the potential to materially affect inflation expectations, and economic growth. Basically, what this goes on to say is the Trump policy and everything that he ran on could make inflation worse. It can make things worse. And I'll tell you why. What did he run on, RJ? He ran on number one, immigration.
Yeah.
That was the big thing, strong border. And he is very serious about a mass deportation. Like, I don't know if you've been seeing who he's been appointing, but this guy that he appointed is like a savage. Like, this guy is like not messing around. There's videos of this guy online. His name's Tom Homan. He's in charge of this mass deportation. And this guy is just a savage. He's just like, start packing your bags now. We're coming for you, this and that.
Oh, wow.
And, there's a lot of good things that happen with that. I believe, illegal immigration could destroy a country. It's bad, right? There's a lot of bad. But how does this affect the housing market? You got to think about the workforce, man. You got to think about construction. Think about how many immigrants and illegal immigrants work in the trades. Call it like it is. And you might be sitting here watching this, and just like RJ and I, we don't work with illegal immigrants, just for the record. Like, we don't pay people under the table, and this person's illegal, and they're going to give us a good deal. However, we work with contractors, and we can't control their workforce.
Right.
It is absolutely a real thing. So when this mass deportation goes on, it is absolutely going to affect the workforce for the trades. Now, yeah, go ahead.
What are we going to expect? What happens now?
Now they got to fill these roles with domestic citizens who are going to demand a higher wage. Therefore, the prices go up. Therefore, the cost of labor is going to go up.
And we've already seen that happen. We're already used to, and so what's going to happen now is the margins are going to be a little slimmer, and you got to really, you just have to underwrite your deals a little bit better, and um, some of the times it's not going to pencil out as a rental, and it's just better to flip. And those margins of 30% continually will continually squeeze, and it turns into 20 to 15. But what are you going to do? I don't see. There's obviously some certain strategies that you can do, and we've talked about that in some of the calls that we have with our clients. But I don't think it's sustainable, man. I just don't. So you can still make money. You might have to flip a little bit more. Those buy and hold ones that you're trying to go after on the residential end might not pencil out anymore. You could build new construction. I see some guys out there with that model, and that's a viable option, right?
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to tell you here is when that happens, because it's going to happen, just be prepared to just get better at underwriting, get better at working your numbers in on the deal. And sometimes maybe you have to have some different arrangements with your contractor. We've partnered with some of our contractors before on flips to make it work, so they get a piece of the back end. But on rentals, we haven't done a 50K 60K renovation on a rental in a long time. We just don't. We're going after some 30 to 40 type $1,000 renovations because we want to be in and out of these, get them refinanced, and move on to the next deal. So that's what you're probably going to see, and that's how you're going to have to maneuver around this, is that you're going to just have to get better deals up front, work out some creative things on the back end, or consider new construction, build to rent.
Well, I want to get into new construction because that's another thing that Trump is running on, is increasing the housing supply by building a lot of new homes. This is what he's kind of talking about doing. Now, he's talking about doing it. And again, everybody watching this, we're just reading between the lines on this channel here. We're not talking about good, bad, or ugly. It's like, how does this affect the real estate market? This is all we care about. And we got to kind of, every politician blows smoke. I mean, come on. So a lot of the stuff that they talk about, because Harris ran on the same campaign, man, she was saying the same thing. We're going to build all these new houses, and it sounds great. It's like, hey, I want to vote for that, right? Okay, well, let's think about this. First off, where are you going to build these houses? So Trump says, well, there's all this federal land. We can build on these federal lands, federal owned, government owned land. We can open this up for building. Where is the federal owned land?
Where is it?
No, it's in the sticks. I mean, you got to think about this. When you're driving down the freeway, your camera went out, by the way, RJ. When you're on the freeway driving and you see all these farms and stuff like that, that's all privately owned. Where is federal owned land? We're talking about like national parks. We're talking about like completely in the sticks and like the wilderness, right? That's where federal owned land is. You back, RJ? Can't hear you. Can't hear you, RJ. So Trump is talking about building an influx of new homes. I'm going to share my screen here just for a moment. But what we need to be asking ourselves, here we go, is so home builders expect to construct 1.2 million new single-family homes and around 300,000 multifamily units over the next year. That's good. So one thing that's good that Trump will be able to do, I believe, is really cut the regulations when it comes to mom and pop developers like me and you, and that's something we can benefit from. Now, Trump mentioned plans to release federal lands for housing. But federal lands tend to concentrate in rural areas. That doesn't do anything for these densely populated blue cities that really need the most help. So, where housing is the most scarce is in the cities. I don't know why they said blue cities. It doesn't matter. Well, most cities are blue, I guess, but all cities. That's where the housing is needed the most, is cities. So his plan, and this was Harris's plan too. So I mean, they both ran on the same thing. Would be opening up these way out in the sticks, rural type of land for building. So I just don't see how that's going to solve the problem. RJ, you back with us? Still can't hear you. So, so that's one thing Trump is running on, is opening up these federal lands for building. I don't believe that is going to actually do anything, just so everybody knows. And one thing, though, that will help is cutting regulations. And when it comes to if you've ever built a home or if you've ever remodeled a home, you know, you got to pull permits. That's an example of regulations. And just like if you're building a new construction type of property or something like that, typically you got to go through like the city council, you got to go through all of this red tape and zoning and building and things like that. So one thing that I do believe Trump will be able to do is cut a lot of regulation to make it easier for investors like me and you to build. Hopefully, or at least make it easier to, you know, remodel houses. I mean, we're doing a lot of fix and flips and things like that right now, and we got to pull permits, and it's a lengthy, it's expensive, and it takes time. So I do believe in Trump cutting regulations, serving us as the real estate community. I do kind of think that him promising to build a bunch of new homes is a bit bogus, because the land that he's talking about opening up for this new construction is out in the sticks. It's not going to solve the problem, because the problem with the housing shortage is in the major cities. RJ, you back with us?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
I think we're back. I think we're back.
What if they did this? Is there enough, are there enough, like, you know, we have a land bank. And the land bank, we have all these houses that nobody wanted, basically. And they're doing all these programs that allow investors, developers, you know, mom and pop, to get involved in getting those. Why don't, instead of this like rural, urban, whatever they're talking about, you know, rural areas, what about that? Like, can't they just focus on some of the housing that's available right there and open that up to developing and development? I'm sure there's opportunities there,
It's a good
because no one's
idea.
buying that stuff.
Well, you know what's going to serve that is cutting regulations, because an example of regulations, like I was just saying, RJ, is permits, building permits, and zoning and surveys, and that's all regulations, right? You got to comply with these regulations. So if Trump was to make it a big focus to cut a bunch of regulations, which he's promising to do, that is going to help. That is going to help the urban areas and people like you and I who are fixing up homes and building homes. And when it comes to the land bank, I think that's a really good idea, and I didn't think about that. And we're not going to find discussion on that in these articles that we're citing. But you know what a really good idea would be is, what if they open up the land bank, but they also opened up financing, right? They said, we'll finance you with grants. That would be a good thing. Yeah, open up grant programs, so there should be no vacant houses. I mean,
No, they shouldn't be.
that's boarded up, anything like that. And another thing, I mean, we're creating policy right now, RJ. I mean, we're just two guys sitting here talking. But anyone who owns a vacant house should have the ability to sell this maybe to the land bank or something like that. Like, And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like instead of like taking this through the courts, you got this vacant house, and now we're pounding you with property tax bills, and you can't sell this. Well, what if the land bank was to start acquiring these homes, right? For the intention of then selling it to mom and pop investors, and they'll provide the financing. I mean, there's a lot of like different ideas and stuff like that. Bottom line is this: Trump was running on building new homes on federal land. Federal land is way out in the sticks, and it's not going to solve the problem of the housing shortage.
Do
So
you
we'll
think
yeah.
do you think that I mean I was had this discussion yesterday, and I think the real estate market's gonna have a little run here. And we're starting to see some buyers come out of the woodwork based on who's in office. And they're ready to, I mean, we've always typically seen November and December to pick up a little bit from a buying end because they want to get the best deals. It's no secret you're gonna get the best deals, in fall and winter. Some people take off after the fall to kind of slow down, and then that's when the guys that do this year round get the best deals because they're staying consistent. They're working out, buying real estate so that come spring, when it's time to sell these, if they're fixing flippers, they have inventory. I think we're going to see a lot more of that activity just based on who's in office now.
Well, not
And
only, yeah, what you're referring to is buyer sentiment, buyers getting more
the
bullish.
buyer sentiment, yeah.
Not just, what the even more so, which would go on a run and create a run, not only buyer sentiment, but bank sentiment, lending sentiment. That's the underlying thing that
Yep.
fuels the buyers. And I spoke to a broker yesterday because we're looking at different commercial financing options on deals that we're looking at. And he said specifically, there's two funds that he knows of. I mean, we're talking multi-billion-dollar funds, right?
Mm-hmm.
That he's just in communication with. As soon as that election ended, both of them implied that just wait till Q1. I think Q1, because this is the way these banks work. They work on these fiscal years, right? They're in the middle of a quarter right now. Wait till Q1. And he said he got verbal confirmation from two very large funds that they're ready to rock as far as starting to lend money, originate loans. So that's the big thing, I think, RJ. That's what we're going to see is Q1. I think lending is going to, I think a lot of lenders and originators have been
Mm-hmm.
on the sideline a little bit through the election. I don't think they're going to be on the sideline anymore, man. So I agree. I think we're going to see a bull run in the lending. I think they're ready to rock per my source, my internal sources.
So what does that mean to you guys? It's the guys that are in the trenches, the guys that are finding deals, is that reach out to all your buyers, stay in front of them. If you're looking to wholesale or looking to do any of this stuff, flip properties, fix and flip, get in touch with your buyers, see who's buying, see who's active. Some of them actually want to sell their assets based on what was going on. So, so reach out to them in general and see if they're happy with any of their investments and see if they are looking to sell because the opportunity is in front of you. Is in front of you. Want to go through some? I can't really see the comments here. Now I can. That was weird. You got to reset your things and then comments are coming in. Are you seeing
Well,
anything on your end, Dave?
I am not, but I do want to talk about tariffs.
Let's go
So
right into it.
there's three things that I wanted to discuss today. Number one was the building of new homes, and I do think that's impractical, because we're talking about this federal land, which is out in BFE. Nobody wants to live there. It doesn't solve the housing shortage in the major cities. However, deregulation would help, right? That's point number one that we made today, right? Deregulation would help the mom and pop developers like us and like everybody watching this in the major cities that operate and trade in the major cities, fix up houses. If we can cut regulations and make it easier for our stuff to get through, that's going to help, right? So housing, number one. Number two, we talked about immigration, and that could drive housing up. That could make it worse for us. Mass deportation. Now, personally, I think it's a good thing to get rid of any illegal immigrant that's a criminal. I mean, empty our prison system. We got so many thousands of illegal immigrants in our own prison system. We should start there, right? However, a mass deportation is going to affect the workforce too, especially in the trades and especially in supply houses. Think about all of these, giant supply houses that manufacture drywall or something like that. Maybe they got some people who are illegal working there. And if these people are out, they're going to need to hire new people. And that's good. Hey, I'm all about Americans working and creating jobs. However, they're probably going to have to increase their wages, which is probably going to increase, it's going to increase their cost, but probably get passed on to the consumer, which is me and you.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. So this deportation thing, it's good. We can, celebrate and this and that, but we got to look at how it affects us. Here's a big one though, RJ. Tariffs. So you've heard Trump, he ran on this tariffs. And basically what he's saying is anything that is manufactured outside of the US, if this manufacturer wants to sell to American citizens, if you want to bring your product into the US, we're going to charge you 10, 20, sometimes he exaggerates a lot. He says 100% tariff, but he's talking about charging tariff on anyone who is shipping their products into the US. And that sounds good. Yeah, charge tariffs and this and that. We're going to make a lot of money and this and that. But you got to think, how many building materials are manufactured outside the US? How many kitchen faucets are manufactured outside the US? How many countertops are manufactured outside the US? What about lumber? Canada is a major supplier of lumber. Well, that's not the US. So if they're bringing all of this building materials into the US and they're getting whacked with a 10, 20, 30+% tariff, that could very easily be passed on to us.
Yeah. Well, the prices go up. So guess what? Our prices go up.
Yes.
So
yes.
why they were over there was they're getting the margins work, and the margins. I'm seeing construction costs go high, and I know that's because
it could get a lot worse.
It could get a lot higher. Yeah.
We're looking at this from both ways, everybody. I mean, this is not a political channel. We're just looking at it from the dollars and cents. I mean, let's go. I mean, it's the truth. You got to look at things both ways, though, man. It's like, hey, it sounds good on paper. Let's boot everybody out. Well, what's that going to do to the workforce?
Yeah.
Right? Hey, let's charge a bunch of tariffs. Well, wait a second. How many of our hammers and nails and things are actually manufactured outside the US? Because if they're getting charged a 10, 20, 30% tariff, what does that do to our prices? And then what does that do to inflation, RJ? It makes inflation worse, and that basically eliminates any rate cut. If these policies go into place, which I believe they actually are, and then inflation continues to rise, and then like the Fed can't cut rates when inflation's rising. So I think it could get worse before it gets better. Honestly, I think it could get more expensive. I think inflation's going to get worse. I think the jobs and economic data is probably going to get worse. So like we're headed into this stagflation is where we're at. It's like jobs are getting worse, but prices are going up. I think we could be headed into a really rough economy here. Yeah.
Well, I know that in these rough economies, there's millionaires that are created, and so
Absolutely.
What will happen? This is a question from Louis, saying that the fix and hold model isn't penciling out right now. No, what I meant by that is some of those buy and hold, all in 75% or 80%. Some of those deals aren't penciling out, but the good news is that you can always sell because you have that margin there. You have that 25 to 30% margin, and you can sell that. I'm just saying that when the construction costs are getting higher, then there's certainly other ways that you can make the numbers work, but you gotta do probably a little bit more things to the house and to get that higher appraisal amount. And so that's what we've seen. Like we've seen some really amazing over the top renovations in some of the lower C class flipping markets. These fix and flippers are putting some really luxurious things in these flips to really, impress the bank appraisals. That's what I mean by that. The good news is if there's strategies around this. And back when, 80s and 90s, when all this stuff was happening, there's ways to make money, and there's always new ways to make money. You just gotta this game is like bobbing and weaving and paying attention and try to stay in front of it, and it's gonna force you to just get better. And Dave was in the market in 05, forced him to get better. I was in the market in 08 and 09, forced me to get better. So I think that what we're going to be seeing is that, and we're already seeing this in, the residential real estate buy and hold game. It's taken just a little bit more looking and searching and penciling out for the buy and hold. And that's okay. It's getting a little harder, but that's all right. That's what you want. You got to stick to your numbers. Don't make any dumb decisions.
What you're saying, RJ, is it's our job as entrepreneurs to fill a need. What is Trump running on? He's running on a housing shortage. He's running on affordability. Take away the deportation and immigration thing. There's nothing we can fulfill on that front as entrepreneurs. I mean, that's completely out of our hands. What we can fulfill is housing. What is all these policies leading to? I'm going to make housing affordable again. Okay, wait a second. So obviously that's a big need. Obviously millions of people are interested in that because that's what they voted for. So how do we fulfill that need? People want that. People want affordable housing. Well, what we do is learn to buy right and provide this housing. We just got a unit rented, RJ, the one, what is that, on Hampton, $1,200 a month. There's still a good rental market out there if you can provide the affordable housing. And my question to Willie would be, deals aren't penciling out right now. Why? There's only two reasons why it's not penciling out. A, you're paying too much for the asset, right? Or B, I mean, it's the type of financing that you're using, but the financing is the same all across the board. It's all 75% LTV. It all comes down to buying right. And that's kind of something you were alluding to, like finding these off-market deals. If you can find the same source, the same broker that I spoke to yesterday, RJ, I was telling this person about our experience in finding and fixing and flipping over 1,000 deals. I mean, we've been doing this a long time. And he's an older guy, and he's like, if you guys can do what you have done in the single family business, if you can apply this off-market strategies, his mind was blown when I was telling him how we find deals. And I'm talking about online, I'm talking about closing people over the phone. And he's an old school broker. This is what you find in the commercial business. If we can apply, he had mentioned, if you can apply your ability to find off-market deals to the commercial space, you're gonna make tens of millions of dollars. I mean, it's legit. So, and then, I mean, the financing is out there. We just got to learn to buy right. That's all I got to say about that.
Canada lumber companies have been buying mills in the U.S. for the past couple of years.
Good.
And mill curtailments are going to cause lumber to rise regardless. Interesting, Jordan. Any other questions you guys have on anything that we just talked about? And I'm going to open it up here now for some of that. And if everybody is good, we're going to be watching this closely and sharing our observations and some of the pivots that we are going to be making. Obviously, the biggest one that we are making right now is we're heavily interested in going after some multifamily investments. Oh, Bitcoin's rallying.
Look at Bitcoin, basically 92,000. Some of our students are big into the crypto scene. I hope they make a lot of money. That's, I want everybody to be prosperous at the end of the day, but it seems like a lot of money. That doesn't seem like it is. A lot of money's flown into Bitcoin. That's the Trump trade right now. Because I don't know if you knew this, RJ, but Trump came out and spoke at a Bitcoin conference in Miami, Florida. So Miami is like the Wall Street of crypto. Did you know that? Like Miami, it's
Now
all
I do.
Bitcoin. That's the thing. They actually have a bowl, like a cyber bowl, just like how at Wall Street they have a bowl, like bull market. There's like the famous bowl. Well, they have a crypto bowl in Miami. I've seen it actually when I was down there to learn from the great Eric Spofford. I saw the crypto bowl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But Trump spoke at a Bitcoin rally or a Bitcoin event. So that's why I feel like that's the Trump trade right now. He got elected. People are just dumping money into Bitcoin right now. So
we feel strong about it. We got someone saying that gold is slightly down.
Gold today, I think we're still at like all-time highs. I'm sure it might be down a little bit, but something's got to give, everybody. Like, we don't know what the future holds. None of us do, but let's look at everything. I mean, Bitcoin, all-time high. Stock market, all-time high. Gold, close to being an all-time high. If not, here's gold. Yeah, I mean, gold's on the dip. You know why? Because the dollar's on the rise. The dollar's on the rise, and this is part of the Trump trade as well. So gold always trades inversely to the dollar. When the dollar's weak, gold goes up. When the dollar's strong, gold goes down. But look, I mean, this is a 5-year chart. I mean, it's been on an epic run like everything else, and now we're kind of on the dip here, as you can see. But as the dollar shows weakness, and the reason the dollar is showing strength is Putin recently came out and was like, they're still going to trade in US dollars. There's, the whole BRICS thing. And we've talked about Brazil, BRICS, India, China, South Africa, China. Did I say that? So Putin came out and basically said they're still going to trade in the US dollar. That strengthens the dollar as the global reserve currency, right? So a strong dollar means gold's going to dip. So there you go. Could be an opportunity if you're a gold investor. Maybe, it's time to buy. I don't know.
Ladies and gents, we are here at the tail end of our live stream, and we've talked about a lot today. What's going on after the Trump administration is in office? What are they doing? We're staying in front of it as much as we can. And then the pivots that are happening in our business, we're always going to share. And some of the things that we're still excited about residential real estate. Like that's our bread and butter, but it's taken a little bit longer to find some deals that are going to pencil out. And we're also really excited about this commercial stuff that we're up to. We'll keep you posted on that. Any other questions from the community? We're here to answer by a couple more minutes. And if not, we're about to go about our day here. It's a lovely Wednesday. Are you seeing anything on your end, Dave? Tariffs will pass on to us. That is for sure. Anything that
tariffs. Yeah, that's kind of what we covered in this video. RJ saying the fix and flip model isn't penciling out right now. Oh, that was a question.
They still are.
Everything will pencil out if you buy it right, and that's why you got to buy them off market. I think you kind of followed up with that statement there. Canada Lumber Company have been buying mills in the U.S. last couple of years. We like American jobs. We support. So with that, everybody, tune in next week. Tune in all week. We're putting out content and covering all this stuff, and there's no shortage of content right now. But what we can do today is control our efforts, and I encourage you all to make offers, raise money, and close deals. I mean, what else can you do? And when I say raise money, I mean talk to loan brokers. There's so much money out there right now, guys. This is like the biggest light bulb that has gone on for me personally, since now we're kind of like talking to commercial brokers. I'm sitting here kicking myself like, why have I not been just going after these 50-unit buildings? What's the point? It's the same thing. It's actually better. You get better deals. and you can still bring in private money, fund your down payment. You can still get started on these things. You could build in an acquisition fee on these commercial deals. You just got to buy right. But the single family business is still humming for us as well. And we're closing one today, closed one yesterday. What's going on in our single? Give the people a little snapshot into our flipping business. RJ's been really running that as far as like the acquisitions and dispositions. What's going on there?
Deals are closing. Deals are closing not only in Ohio, but also in Texas. These are two markets that we're actively marketing for properties, and our team did an Ovation deal that's going to hit our account. We never saw I mean, we physically can't. Like, our team is virtual. So all done over the phone. If you're interested in how we do it, because there is a sales process, you can't do any of this stuff by just kind of, showing up to the call and start talking to the motivated seller. There's a certain process that you got to follow. But that one, that one is a 30 and some change, 30K little lick in Texas. And then we got another one right behind that. Interesting deal, that one. But so Texas, Ohio, the fix and flip business, we have some of our own rentals that we're doing a lot of fix and flips on, turning them from rentals and fixing and flipping them to the open market, because that's in demand. We bought right, so everything else that we're doing is we're still putting ourselves out there to monetize and market some of these motivated seller leads that are coming in. Our wholesaling and Ovation business is doing really well, and that's the team, which are all virtual, by the way. If you're interested in learning how we've set that up, definitely hit us up. That's what we go over and launch. On top of the buy and hold properties that we're looking and going after for, we're staying very diligent, and we're just being patient. That's what I mean by that. Patient, not just trying to pencil deals in that don't, make sense right now, with hopes of maybe it'll appreciate. We don't buy it like that. We never have. So that's what we're doing. And then I'm excited to see also with you, Dave, these commercial deals that we're going to go after. We've got some actually in our pipeline right now, but just like we are in our residential business, we're staying true to our numbers.
If you get value from our conversations right now in this conversation, we're just sitting here talking about the news at the end of the day. If you want to work with us on a more intimate level, get a full understanding of our business, how we're finding leads, how we're closing over the phone, all of our scripts, all of our paperwork, and then be on the phone with us multiple times a week so we could help you with your own leads, help you with funding, feel free to set up a call at creamlaunch.com. You can get an intro and get some information on our coaching program and coaching platform. It's going very well. A lot of our people are action takers, and we provide the accountability. We provide the strategies and the systems. And if you are a good worker, if you have a work ethic, you're going to be successful, right? I mean, we can't fill that part of the equation for you. But if you're coachable and you got a good work ethic, we're going to give you the opportunity to get out there and kill it. I mean, what do we got? 40 some odd days till Christmas. Now's the time to do this. Set up a call, creamlaunch.com, hop on the phone with Michael or somebody on our team. They'll give you the information. It's no pressure. It's not, and if it's for you, great. If the timing's not there, that's okay too. We can continue to stay in touch. A couple questions coming in here. And we got a few minutes. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between a retail flip and one you're going to run out? Are you asking, Louis, as far as the difference in materials that we would use? That's how I'm reading that question. Are you asking how we would handle the construction differently on a retail flip versus one we're going to rent out? RJ, can you speak to that?
There's not that really big of a difference anymore, because we're wanting to hit obviously the top appraisal amount. And so some of the differences now versus back then with rentals is we're putting granite, we're doing tile backsplashes and tile surrounds, LVP flooring. That's just a standard anymore. Black and white design is still working. and that's still like a design that I'm seeing get high appraisal amounts. And on top of that, our renters like that, and they're not going to beat up the property. You got LVP flooring, countertop, granite countertops versus laminate countertops, tile. Yeah, they can. No, it's hard to like break tile unless like you've got some really rowdy residents, right? So, really the only main differences that I would see between a rental or a flip is that just very small subtle differences. Maybe more paying attention more to the exterior on retail flips because that's a sticking point anymore. The garage, on retail flips is something that you maybe want to put a little bit more money into there because it's going to affect you got picky buyers. And so those are just some of the things, but we go over that because we have an actual complete SKU, like down to the SKU and where you can get them. Our design is all there laid out in our program, but that's normally what we're seeing and what we're doing. There's not that big of a difference anymore because we want to try and get that high appraisal amount. But Louis, love these questions, man. If you got any other ones, certainly put them in the comments. Great info, gents. Sean, good seeing you, Sean. Anybody in the IG world, appreciate the views and knowledge points. Appreciate you, M. I'm expert in lead generation. If there's anything I can help you both of us, that will be good. Danish, hit me up. Lead gen in what terms? In lead gen for house buying or other lead gen things? Yeah, hit me up. Love to see it. Guys, this has been great. Thank you for the engagement. If you're watching this live or this video at a later time, the cream launch is I believe it's going to be in the comments, but if not, then check our description. Let's connect. We got an event coming up, networking event, I believe, next week, I think it's next week.
I love our networking events. If you're local or if you wanted to fly in, we'd love the opportunity to have you. If somebody flies in for one of our networking events, I'm going to give you a deal right now. You can, come to the office, and I would like to shake your hand. If you took the action to jump on a plane, we should do a video together or something like that.
For sure. We appreciate that.
Guys, it's an exciting time. Keep your mind right. Focus on what you can control. So it's an exciting time in politics. Arguably the most entertaining and exciting thing that I've ever witnessed in my entire life. We got Elon Musk. RJ, did you realize this just came out yesterday? They got the Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, which
did they do that because of Dogecoin?
Yeah, it's Elon. Elon's a nutcase. I mean, he's just a funny guy, right? I mean, but everything they're talking about doing is awesome, right? Everything always sounds good. But guess what? Elon is going to be he's appointed to lead off this Doge thing with Vivek Ramaswamy. Yeah. Vivek and Elon are tackling this together. We're Vivek fans. Not because of his politics, but because he plays tennis at Ohio State. RJ met him. He's a great guy, smart guy. But this is amazing, like things that it's just crazy right now. And you know what they're talking about doing, which I think is pretty cool, is they're talking about making all government expenditures public out on X. Like, so whenever
should be.
Yeah. Why not make it full transparency?
Absolutely.
I don't care what your politics are. Would you not want full transparency of where your tax dollars are going? It should be fully transparent. Everything.
They do that with companies.
Why not?
They make companies show like how much people are making and all this. It's public information. Why not?
Why not? That's what I want to know. I don't know why people would argue that. I don't know. Unless you've got something to hide, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of cool stuff going on. Make sure you stay in touch with our channel. We are coming out with new videos every single day. We are making some secret negotiations behind closed doors with our wives to hopefully be in here Saturdays, just so you know. And I would love that, honestly. It's just tough, man. It's tough because Saturdays are
it's family time.
Daddy duty, man. Daddy duty. So everybody, we're grateful. Thank you for subscribing to our channel. We're seeing the channel steadily grow. We appreciate you all. We will see you next week at the same time, but we will see you before with more content.